Welcome to my spoiler-free review of the 1997 video game Worms 2. Now, I already did a video on the Worms United, that version of the first game. This video will build on what I said in that one, so I'm not going to reiterate. I'm going to try not to, at least if I remember not to. So this video might end up short. That does not mean that I do not absolutely love this video game, because I do. I believe the game is rated E for everyone. Certainly this video will be. And I'm just real quick going to give a recommendation for a YouTube video. So I am not the biggest fan of the person being discussed in the video, but I did think that the video by the Nando Cut called What's Going On with Lanterns was very fair to Damon Lindelof, which I do think, even if we don't like, I'm not even sure if Nando likes or dislikes Lindelof, but I do think we should strive to always be fair to them. Anyway, I think that does pretty much get us to, yeah, so basically, you know, there is still a single player. You will need to go spelunking to find it. I don't know why they hid it like they did, but it is there. There are more levels than even United, and while an argument could be made that there is at least one particular setup that they certainly do like to go back to, I would argue that there's just enough variety that it never feels just like completely, it never gets tedious to complete. And of course, it continues to shine in multiplayer. And this is one of those cases where it's really, really great that they did allow for hot seat local multiplayer, because otherwise some of these you would not be able to play, via any kind of, some of the ones where you're trying to play them through the internet, it's like, oh, well, that service is no longer available. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to briefly mention, so in my video on the first, I'm pretty sure I did not mention the baseball bat. It is, of course, awesome, but, if I'm going to be sitting around naming every single weapon, we're going to be here forever. But it does bear mentioning. And I forget if it's in this one or in Armageddon, but certainly in Armageddon. Let's see, if the water is right down here, so you're standing like real close to the water, and there's you and an enemy worm, or you can do it with one of your own if you feel like it. If you use the bat to skip the worm in question across the water like a rock, it will play, and I have no idea what you call it, but it's the diddle-dit-da-da thing that I know just barely enough about baseball to know that's something they sometimes play there. I guess when you really nail it, maybe it's a home run thing, whatever. And yeah, that's fun. That's very fun to be able to accomplish. And it's, of course, it can be fairly rare because you really do have to get them into that exact, yeah. And this is one of those cases where they did not necessarily, add that many new things, but what they added makes a huge difference. Like, I think I did say it in my video on the first one, but yeah, if you are just like, you want to go back to early Worms, who are the ones who you get the bird, I guess, this is a really great place to start. I understand people who will start with United, and certainly there is a lot to love about that one, but I do think this is where they really hit their stride. We go from 1 jump to 4, and before you say it's not a little excessive, trust me, all of them, like, if you've not found a use for all 4, you just haven't experienced the specific situation. Like, one that I remember when I played this, way back in the 90s, because I'm old, one that I noticed new players were like, what is this even for? One of them, you're basically just jumping directly up. It's really good if you're trying to get on top of another worm, because there are certain things that I don't think I want to give away exactly what, but there are certain things where it's beneficial to start on the head of another worm, but that's what it's for. Because, like, obviously, why are you jumping directly up? Because it's not like you can grab onto a ledge or something. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I do not know what the fascination of that particular time period was in funny games like this to include farm animals, because the first one already had the sheep. This one adds cows. I guess someone got the idea in their head that that's just like inherently funny. Fair enough, it's true. But like between the Worms games and the Earthworm Jim games, was it just games that had something to do with worms that just also included animals? Whatever. And specifically farm animals too. Like not really like, I don't know, jungle animals so much, but anyway. Yeah, this one adds several new weapons, and it really helps close the gap. Armageddon goes even further. So basically, like by Armageddon, I found that there were few times where there wasn't at least one weapon or tool that was perfect, nearly no matter the situation. I'm looking forward to playing some of them ones that came after Armageddon, because I think I can maybe picture, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they add to it. And I'm aware some of them are very different from is moving on. But the other than the mad cow, this also adds the old woman, and both of them will walk or run and then explode, and the cows move very fast, and there's several. So if you can attack a group of enemy worms, it can really be amazing. I think this is also the first of the games where sometimes, I have to admit, I forget the exact circumstance, but I did notice it at least once in my playthrough. Sometimes not only will a worm explode and then leave behind when a worm dies, if they're not drowning, if they die on land, they'll explode and then turn into a tombstone. In this one, the tombstones also sometimes explode, which, yeah, if you get just one death in a group, if it's close enough to the others, then that one exploding might kill at least one of the others, which might then kill another of the others, and it's wonderful. And let's see, there's a wonderful murmuring that emits from the old lady, which you will remember many, many years later. I don't know why, but ask someone who played this back in the 90s if they still remember. A lot of us can still reproduce it. I will spare you because I already hummed in this video, but yeah. I think those might be about what I wanted to say about the weapons, other than, of course, the super sheep. I love the super sheep. I especially love the version in Armageddon, but that is a tale for that video. But basically, the super sheep can fly, and you direct it using the arrow keys, and it, of course, moves very, very differently from the worms themselves, because you're basically always turning. You're not really, it flies basically, as soon as you, let's see, the moment you just throw it, it starts out running like a regular sheep. And if you wait too long, I think it does explode on its own. So you can also, if that turns out to be more beneficial for whatever reason. But the second time you press the fire button, it will manifest a Superman-style cape. And it even plays this short version of part of the Superman theme, I believe from the Christopher Reeves version. And yeah, you only turn it with left and right. And if you maneuver it just right, you can achieve unbelievable maneuvers with this thing. I have won matches off that one weapon. This also adds the... Oh, hold on. I'm pretty sure this is where we get the Holy Hand Grenade for the first time. Yeah, the Banana Bomb was in the first. This one adds the... Yeah. Right, there is still some in the way of cutscenes, but it does not do them quite as much as the first one, which is perfectly fine, in my opinion. Right, some people dislike the design for the worms, and it is true they look less wormy and more cutesy. I don't know. I guess it depends on which you find the funnier joke. Bunch of worms crawling around on the ground, killing each other. Is it funnier if they look like worms, or if they look like, I don't know, Disney animated, cartoon worms or something? And the holy hand grenade from Antioch. Thou shalt count to 3. Okay, I'm not going to do the entire thing, I swear. See, sometimes, every so often, I do make a decision in making one of these videos with you in mind. And if you don't know what reference I was about to make, now you really are making me feel old. Anyway, I think that, I say that, it's not like I was even born when that movie came out. But it was popular when I was a kid and teen. Anyway, I think, does that pretty much get us to the, yeah, I think that might cover the weapons. So this one also adds the, and so to be clear, I heard from someone that apparently there is a version of the first one, but I didn't look deep. I just got the Worms United version, but apparently there's at least one version of the first one that also has a level generator. But this one, I can just tell you, listen, the GOG version has a level editor, a level generator for this. Not a level editor, that comes later in Armageddon, but it is quite substantial. There are a number of little details you can adjust, so you can really craft, and you basically you set some settings and then you tell it to generate, and it comes up with, I think, is it like 3, maybe 5 different options, and you click the one of those that you like, and that's the one. Or you can also click generate more, and maybe you want to adjust some more settings before you tell it to generate more. You find out by experimenting. And yeah, it really does make a difference to generate your own levels. And one of the things it has is that you can reverse the geography, which is just such a, I don't even know how you come up with that. But yeah, if it's like a bunch of caves with stalactites and stalagmites, you can reverse it so that instead it's the big spiky ball in the middle. Wonderful. Just, because that changes things. That changes how you throw and shoot pretty substantially. I believe this is also the first time that you certainly you can in this, but I forget if it was, I don't think it was in the first, but correct me if I'm wrong. So, you know what? Scratch that, flip it to reverse it. What I'm going to say is, in this game, you can and use it to great effect. Maybe you can in the first one. You certainly also can Armageddon. In this game, you can set how many seconds between 1 and 5 for some, not all, of the throwables before explosion. And that can really make a significant difference, because you might be throwing a grenade over a substantial distance and you want it very specifically to be, for example, 3 seconds, Or maybe you are, maybe you're right underneath the enemy worm. So you set it to 1 second and throw it so it hits right at the, it's just, yeah, fantastic. And I cannot praise this decision enough. And this is one of the big reasons why I recommend this one, in addition to all that I've already mentioned. Right, and to be clear, if I don't mention a thing in this video that I mentioned the first, just presume that it's still around, But right, this one actually, the worm team designer is also more advanced. You can give them individual names now, and yeah. Anyway, I think that does leave just the, yes, so when you need to choose between weapons, you right-click, and instead of having it take up 2 screens and showing things that you don't have access to, this only shows, it takes up less than, it takes up like a, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of this, whatever. I don't care. I don't major in math. it does not take up very much of the screen. It didn't before, but this time it takes up enough that you can see. Basically they made the icons smaller. You can immediately see what you have, because you cannot see anything that you're not gonna have access to. You can see things that it will be several rounds to, but it's very clearly like sort of not quite blacked out, but like covered slightly, so like you can tell immediately, okay, I don't have access to that immediately. And if you want, you can hover the cursor right over it and it'll tell you how many rounds. But if you're just trying to really quickly do something, yeah, you can just choose the thing you want to use and just go with that, and it'll tell you at the start of a round if you've gotten a new weapon. And yeah, I think that is all the stuff that is new here. I guess it's also worth noting that you cannot fly the super sheep forever. And if you take too long, if I recall correctly, I didn't really, at this time I was so careful that I didn't end up doing it, but if I recall correctly, certainly that's the case in Armageddon, if you fly for too long, it will put a timer on, and it starts at 5 seconds and counts down, so it's like, okay, fair enough, I should have been faster. 5 seconds might be enough for you to still do what you were hoping to do, And I think that does just about cover everything. Okay, so I'll just give brief directions for, so if you too would like to play, I forget what it's called, maybe challenge mode or something, but yeah, those levels, several dozens, yeah, you don't have, I don't think you have to make a new team. I believe there is one that you can just use if you'd like, but you need a team selected, but only one team, because if you choose two, then it'll think, oh, you're doing multiplayer. But if you go to the single player thing and then select one team, then there is a button that says, I forget what it says, but it only pops up during that. And just notice a button that either appears or disappears depending on how many teams, if it's one or two teams. Then you click that one, and it still has a password system, so you can use it across multiple computers. And this time, I really appreciate it. They do also have a thing where, if you so choose, you can just resume from the most recent that you reached by beating the one right, immediately preceding it. So you don't have to type in the password every time you play a level, provided that you're on a computer where you did already complete the level that immediately preceded it. So yeah, and I want to acknowledge, I do appreciate, part of it was like technology was advancing around this time. I'm not saying that all of these things could have been in the first one. They are merely why I personally would say start with this one instead of the first one. That's all. Yeah, I believe that covers everything. So yeah, I rate this 8 adorable little weapons of mass destruction wielding homicidal arachnids. That's not the right word. Annelids? Worms. I'm gonna go check my thesaurus out of 10.